Meter pricing is currently testing the economics and the value of AI across the economy. So let's think back to 2023 when ChatGPT first released, or when OpenAI first released ChatGPT, and people started seeing what could be done from an LLM, what types of reasoning. Back then, it wasn't even reasoning, but it was really just generation, text generation primarily. From then, fast forwarding to today, the amount of reasoning capabilities that we have from these models has definitely improved. The cost per token has definitely improved. But we've also seen a exponential increase in the amount of services that use that underlying technology, that rely on LLMs, from agentic workflows to normal chat based systems. All of these systems have increased the amount of tokens actually being used. And originally, the pricing model was, from a especially from a consumer perspective, was you pay $20 or $200 for the subscription, and that subscription would get you through the whole month. Now we're going into an environment where that type of pricing model doesn't accurately describe and doesn't accurately capture how much value is being generated by these machines, by these systems when you deploy them, right? So a person that's paying $20 could sit here and run up $1,000 bill based on their actual use cases and what they're using AI for, versus the person that's just sending a prompt every once a day just to ask about the news or to tell chat about his day. That person is spending significantly less than another person. And there were also some other subsidies that were coming from the investments perspective, where people were just saying, hey, when I would say the businesses in these labs building the models were saying that we'd rather keep the cost low enough to drive adoption versus setting up competitive pricing to actually increase revenue or increase profitability. For a long time, profitability was not the primary concern. Now, most of these companies, I'll say most of them, Anthropic and OpenAI, are trying to go public. And so public companies need to have some type of path toward profitability, or else they don't work. It doesn't make sense, especially considering the amount of investment that they usually get. So now we're testing the value of these AI systems. We're testing and having to validate whether or not the financial services company, whether it's a bank, insurance company, or whatever, whether or not the assessment or the assumption that they made when they said it would be cheaper to hire or to bring on this AI system than it is to hire and train up a junior analyst, right? We're going to be testing that moving forward as these models continue to get deployed throughout different areas of the business. But it also tests the value of AI literacy, because now it's not just do you use AI, it's do you use AI intelligently? Are you using AI to ask a question that you could Google, right? Or are you using AI to help close the gap between your current state and a future state that actually required significant amount of energy from you or significant amounts of time? And is the actual business value being felt by the prompt that you generated? Right? A few months ago, there were companies like Uber and Meta that were actually setting up leaderboards for who could use the most tokens, which is a very unnecessary metric to capture, because using the most of something doesn't mean you're using it in the best way. It doesn't mean you're using it efficiently. It doesn't mean you're using it for anything good. I remember seeing a meme a few like months ago, and it was talking about what it was like a Star Wars video. It was Anakin talking to Padme, and Padme was kind of asking Anakin why AI data centers, or what was the value of these data centers with AI, and she was saying, I think it's because We can, solve difficult problems. We can help, and improve healthcare scenarios. And he was basically not agreeing with that. And when you zoom out, it's like, oh, we're just using AI to generate images that may or may not be appropriate, that may or may not be valuable to human development, that may or may not be helpful to any of the major sectors that actually exist in the world. So that question is really coming up today. It's like, we don't want to being unproductive is not just not using the tool. Being unproductive is using a tool in an ineffective way. I won't even just say the way it's designed to be used because you can be creative and use it in a way that wasn't expected. But if you're using the tool and it's not really getting you the results that you need from it, there's no point using that tool. So this is going to be a very interesting time from an investment perspective too, because if the value of these models is not felt as quickly as the price is felt, right? If the costs start going up more than companies start seeing the value of it, they might decide to cut down on how much they're spending. We're already seeing caps on the amount of tokens that an engineer can use in some companies. We're already seeing decisions and strategies to move away from some of the frontier models for every workload to considering some of the open source, basic models for some use cases because they might give you the same or similar results. And that changes the economic value of the investments that people are making inside of AI from the software perspective to the chip perspective and everything below that. It definitely becomes a question of where is the actual bottleneck for value and who is going to get the benefits of that bottleneck moving forward.